All right, folks, welcome back. And we have a lot of ground to cover today in the world of crime. But before we do, a reminder that we are just 10 days out from the series premiere of DTL airing on Unspeakable and told by the one and only Kelly Jennings. Kelly Jennings, are you pumped to get this one out there?
I'm beyond pumped because this has been a labor of absolute love, an intense labor of love.
And a label of love.
A label of love.
Yes. Yes, it's amazing. We're going to be promoting it. You're going to see a lot of it in the next few weeks, and that's because we want everybody to know it exists and that it's out there and to go listen. So here it is, the trailer for this highly produced series just for you.
In the sultry heat of Louisiana, where the bayous whisper secrets and the air hangs heavy with the scent of magnolias, a darkness lurked beneath the surface. Derek Todd Lee was a man whose charm masked a sinister reality. He was a monster. Lee, a seemingly ordinary man with a disarming smile, led a double life that would unravel in a series of murders in the capital city of Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas. As the first reports of disappearances and murders began to surface, South Louisiana was thrust into a nightmare, igniting a frantic search for answers. The true horror was just beginning, and the hunt for a serial killer, eventually known by just 3 letters, would reveal not only the depths of Derek Todd Lee's depravity, but also the resilience of those most affected by his evil acts, the families and the survivors. This is DTL.
There you have it. Set your calendars, folks. And now let's get into just a few of the topics we're going to be covering for today. In Mississippi, the sentencing for Lindsay Whiteside may change after public outcry reached a fever pitch this past week. I can't wait to bring you this story. In Louisiana, a new policy is allowing restraining orders to be filed at your local library. If you can believe that. Kelly's going to be bringing you that story. In Disney World, a woman jumps to her death off the monorail system after being reported missing. In Florida, a man is shot by a McDonald's employee after complaining about the wait in line in the drive-thru. And folks, it's close to Halloween. What are the top crimes you need to watch out for this October 31st? We'll be covering that. That's just a sample of the massive amount of crime topics we're covering today. Welcome to Crime Wire Weekly. I am Jim Chapman.
And I am Kelly Jennings.
Kelly, you ready to get into some crime?
I am, but I want to ask you first about your Halloween costume because I'm curious if you're going as an old man since you just had your 51st birthday.
I am not going as an old man. That would require too much makeup, Kelly. How you like that?
I want to tell you, belated, but happy birthday.
Thank you very much. It was a great birthday. I helped fill my daughter's car up with air, her tires, and threw my back completely out. So welcome to 51. It's been like 3 days, y'all. I'm like the Hunchback of Notre Dame over here. But I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Very good stuff.
Good.
So we'll jump into it, and we're going to start in Mississippi. And a judge recused himself in a letter on Tuesday after sentencing a former youth minister and former basketball coach who pleaded guilty to sexual battery of a child. Now, before I get deep into this story, look, I covered, if you're curious about the entire case, you can go to Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. I did a whole deal on it, an hour-long episode on that feed. That is out now. It's the most recent episode, so you can check that out. Judge Andrew Howarth, a retired circuit judge, he sentenced Lindsay Whiteside to 10 years under court supervision with no contact with the victim of her family. Whiteside received 3 years of house arrest and 7 years of probation. And I need to make this clear. When you think of house arrest, don't think someone is stuck at their house for 3 years. That's not the way that works. Basically, she has to be at home between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Besides that, she can go anywhere she wants. She can have a job. She can, except a playground. You know, she can't go somewhere where other kids are hanging out, but she can live her life as normal, even though she fried this poor child's head by this time. Yeah, she's given a curfew, basically. Yeah. It's like she's back in college.
Yeah.
So, there was a quote there that said, when a judge's ability to be fair and impartial might reasonably be questioned, whether true or not, recusal becomes appropriate. That was what Haworth said in his recusal letter. Remember, he is the judge. Now, this comes after the DeSoto County District Attorney, a absolute badass named Matthew Barton, filed a motion to resentence Whiteside last Thursday after he was totally appalled at the sentence, as he should have been. Haworth said in the court's opinion that Barton had been selective and decidedly unnuanced in his portrayal of the information in the case. He went on to say the heightened level of public interest in the outcome of this case seems to have occurred, at least in part, as a result of a press conference and other public releases of information. I would like to take credit for some of that public release of information, in this case by DeSoto County District Attorney Matthew Barton. He said Barton's impressions about this case have been parroted not only by internet influencers. He didn't mention me by name, but I know he meant to. But by numerous allegedly responsible news outlets who don't seem to have done their research. Well, that sounds like someone to me that's just pissed because they got called out on their sentence. Whiteside, a former youth minister at Gidwell Church in Hernando, Mississippi, and a former basketball coach at DeSoto Central High School in South Haven, was indicted on one count of sexual battery of a child in December of 2024. She was arrested in November of 2024 on a sexual battery charge. DA Matthew Barton said she will have to register as a sex offender. Barton said DA's office requested the maximum sentence, which is 30 years. However, y'all, he requested 30 years. She got 3 years, basically 3 years house arrest and 7 years probation.
Which is
that's a little bit of a leap.
Yeah, and usually when a prosecutor is going to give a recommendation, the judge, I'm not saying always, and there's no rule to this, but you know, they're going to align in
the same world?
On the same playing field here.
I mean, it's definitely taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And look, if you're a DA, and that's the maximum sentence, and the DA, I'm sure, knew she's not going to get the maximum.
Yeah, you go maximum, and then you
settle. For 30, you get 15.
Yeah.
You don't get house arrest for 3 years. It is...
Right.
I wouldn't say unheard of, but it's pretty damn rare, and especially in a sex case. Now, what this really all boiled down to in the end, and why this resentence is being considered, is because the sentence was illegal. In the state of Mississippi, if you are convicted of a sex crime, which she was, or for that matter, a assault crime of some sort of violent crime, if you're convicted of those crimes, you cannot just be sentenced to house arrest. It's in their constitution. You have to get jail time. She got none.
Well, at the end of a lot of a lot of penalties, you'll hear without the benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence, and so it must be added in there on that level. You know that, and it makes sense. How dare you offend a child in this way and then get house arrest?
100%. Just a really unbelievable sentence. So, obviously, we will keep you posted as this moves along. But a really intriguing case. Just
Do we know
a lot
of
twists and turns.
Was that judge newer on the bench? Do we know?
Oh, no. He was actually a retired judge. So what happened was the two judges in that county, there was two of them. They both had to recuse themselves because one of them went to church with the Whiteside family, which is a very powerful family in that county. One of them went to church. The other one had a relationship somehow with somebody in the family.
So they did the right thing. And
so they were recused, and they have in Mississippi what they call special judges. These are retired judges. And basically there's like a limited amount of them, but they go around and they try cases in counties as retired judges when the active judge recuses themselves.
Makes total sense.
The problem with that, though, in this case, and, you know, one of the things that glares about this sentence to me is the fact that this guy was retired. He doesn't have to get reelected.
Yeah.
So no matter what his sentence is, it's not like he's got to worry about in the back of his head, well, I'll probably get kicked off the bench for this.
Yeah.
State's retired. This is a side hustle.
Yeah.
He's a retired judge. He got plenty of money.
But he should also be.
He should be.
If he was, should be. That's the key here. But if he was a judge long enough that he was able to retire
30 plus years.
Right, to retire from judgeship, then you would expect that he would be abreast of the law at least.
Oh, he knew the law.
And so this is the public should have a vested interest in what happened here.
Amen.
All right. We'll see how that goes. Now, let's take it right on here in our backyard in EBR, East Baton Rouge Parish, Louisiana, where residents can now file temporary restraining orders at each of the 15 libraries in East Baton Rouge Parish. The 19th Judicial District Chief Judge Don Johnson said domestic violence primarily takes place when the courthouse is closed. The new program will provide easy access through location and in a timely manner. The idea allows you to file an application and then have it on file, so immediately whenever the court is available again, that they can deal with the problem, and it's readily available to take in the complaint. So Chief Judge Johnson said not only will this allow easy access to residents, but it will speed up the filing process from 1 day to an hour. He said it allows people to seek help on the spot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good stuff. That's actual outreach, to your community. Mm-hmm. There will be resources, pamphlets, and information. So if you need to go and get assistance, they will tell you where these resources are, he said. All you have to do is go inside of your local library, find a librarian to help you, and you can fill out the application online. Representative C. Denise Marcel is a survivor of domestic violence, and she's hopeful that having easier access to help prevent people from experiencing similar trauma would be a good thing. There's no blueprint for when something goes wrong and your partner is abusive towards you. There is no blueprint. This helps us have a blueprint, Representative Marcel said. This summer, 54-year-old Alana Singleton was allegedly killed by her boyfriend, 54-year-old Paul Varnado, in Central. The next day, police said 24-year-old Kyra Hayes was killed by her boyfriend, Brandon Ellie, in Baker. Chief Judge Johnson said the data collected from the library will hopefully help find more solutions and prevent future crimes. By tracking the information down and gathering the information and inventorying the information, we can now analyze that and then from that indication decide what remedies and what access to provide.
When I read the headline of that particular story, my first reaction was, whoa. First of all, I think it's a phenomenal thing. Anything you can do to curb domestic violence, it's disgusting. It's ugly. I think anybody that puts their hands on a woman or,
Vice
women
versa.
that put their hands on a man, you deserve everything you get, I guess you could say. My concern here was, what would that do for people that just have a messy divorce?
Yeah.
And one thing about restraining orders that I know I've heard Kelly say this on Unspeakable several times is at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper.
Yep.
Certainly it gives the police a paper trail.
It gives
so
a
if
reactive.
something happens to you and they go back and they look and they're like, well, she filed 9 restraining orders against this guy. That's very helpful, especially in a case, right? Mm-hmm. That being said, I think that the way that article read, am I understanding this correctly, that they fill out the paperwork, but nothing is actually done at that? Correct. It's almost like you're applying for the restraining.
Yeah. So what it sounds like to me, so when domestic violence, and again, I'm just with the article here. I haven't done a ton of research on this, but when domestic violence happens, when the heat of the moment, and you're like really wrapped up in this, you need a voice. You need somebody who can do something about it. When the police show up, what are they going to do? They're going to maybe arrest your partner or separate the two of you for the evening. What happens, though, is when domestic violence typically may happen after hours of a courthouse, when you need an immediate type of protection, maybe this is something that needs an immediate look at, you're not going to get it because if it happened on a Friday, well, the courts aren't open Saturday and Sunday. Then Monday you would go file. Then it would be Tuesday possibly before it was even reviewed and a decision made. So to me, this is a streamlining process that they're implementing and giving access much greater time during the day that you can do this. You don't have to do it at home. You can get outside of your home and go do it away from your possible abuser.
That's a good point.
And there's a safety net there that they're not looking over your shoulder or you're not trying to, do something with someone breathing down your throat. But then it sounds to me like they're going to dedicate somebody to look at these applications like on a Monday morning, look at them, assess them, maybe levelize them as this is immediate, this is, whatever. And then they can streamline that process without all the shuffle of people having to move about and go from here and there and yonder. You know what I'm saying? It's just all right there. I think it's a good thing. Yeah. It sounds good. I hope that people don't misinterpret this to think that librarians are now advocates, to be telling you what to do in domestic violence. That's kind of a strange leap. Yeah. But the resources and knowing where they are and what to do, that's a beautiful thing if librarians are able to help.
I think so. And I think this is something that maybe they need to look at in all parishes. Yeah. Anything that was streamlined, of course, October, not only Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but also Domestic Violence Month.
Yeah.
Breast Cancer Awareness, of course, we all think pink, right? Mm-hmm. You think purple for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And one of the, in my opinion, one of the most horrible crimes you could ever commit.
Because it's always someone that you trust that, violates you in a way that a stranger, it's taken different. It's so much more personal to me than a stranger attacking you. I mean, this is supposed to be your spouse or your family member. And the thing about domestic violence is no one ever thinks that it will be them. Right. No one ever thinks that they will be killed. And the reality is this, I'll say it till the day I die. If he will hit you, if he will push you, or he will slap you, and I say he, but anyone. She will put their hands on you, they will kill you.
Yeah.
They will. And these people need an outlet. We need to get the word out. It's not acceptable, and you're worth more than that.
Right.
Don't let people do that to you.
Don't let people do it to you, and glad to see East Baton Rouge Parish coming up with a great idea. It sounds
awesome.
Like.
Good job. Kudos, y'all.
Well, we're going to stay in Louisiana, and we're going to stay in East Baton Rouge Parish for this one. And I'm going to tell you about two people who have been arrested, and deputies are still looking for one accused of defrauding Neighbors Federal Credit Union out of more than $150,000. According to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, Marvell Jackson, Ashana Webb, and Timothy Cannon were suspects in a fraud case that started in May. Deputies with the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office said a handful of Neighbors Federal Credit Union accounts were compromised after scammers got a hold of their phone numbers and started communicating with the account holders as if they were from the financial institution. Through conversations, members told the people posing as bankers their online banking logins. Parish records said the scammers withdrew money from the accounts through ATMs, Cash App, Apple Cash, and the teller window at LaBerge Casino. Jackson and Webb were booked for thefts over $25,000, illegal transmission of monetary funds. Webb was arrested in EBR on September 10th. Jackson was detained and booked a month later, and an arrest warrant has been issued for Cannon. And let me say this, the scams, as technology increases, so do the ability of these scammers to do what they do. However, this one of the oldest ones in the book, I can tell you from having a extremely close friend that is a banker, that these scams, if anybody ever calls you and asks for your ATM number, asks for your login codes, and they say they're from XYZ Bank, they're lying.
Absolutely. No one's ever going to, because, even the people that call you from a bank or a fraud alert, those people don't have access to all of your information. Yeah. There's levels of security in place. So for someone to flat out ask you this information, it's not going to work that way. And people who are around crime or have studied it or, that type of thing, it seems obvious, doesn't it? But to someone who is not living a life of crime, I have a friend that I just adore. They were recently taken by scammers. They called, they had minimal information about their banking, but they said things that scared my friend's wife. Like, you're gonna be arrested, threatened, these types of things, unless you go put money into this account. through one of those crypto, type things.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
she didn't know what it was. When people don't know what's going on, they assume that's because it's governmental or above their head or something like that. And they got taken for $15,000. And I found it just disgusting because they pick and prey on people who are good people, who just don't necessarily know. They've never been in trouble before. They don't know that this is complete and total bullshit. And it's sick and it's so wrong, and they don't recoup often.
Right.
The losses.
They don't, because a lot of times these are accounts that are in another country. Mm-hmm. It gets very convoluted and very hard to collect this money at that point, especially when it's cryptocurrency. And a lot of times they'll have these people convert their cash into cryptocurrency first and then send the crypto, and they think it's going somewhere in the United States. It ends up going to, Jamaica or something, where it's really hard to get. And I'll tell you this, what is most disgusting is these assholes prey on the elderly a lot. And they call your 75-year-old grandma and they tell her this big bullshit story, and she ends up giving them her entire life savings. This happens every day in this country. So talk to your parents and your grandparents.
Yes. So, and I know nobody cares about our personal life really, but I want to give you an example. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she just passed away, but she always felt like she was a burden. You know what I mean? When you get older and you're having a hard time, she never wanted to be a burden on anybody. Well, she got a phone call one day from this company that was offering to do, handle her bills for her, handle this, handle that. And in her old sweet mind, she thought, wow, this would really free up my daughter, and it won't bother her. She ended up signing over power of attorney to someone she didn't even know. And she grew up in the 30s, in the 40s, and today's times are hard for older people.
Sure.
And so she was so easily manipulated, but thank God my mother is a freaking bulldog when it comes to, messing with our family, and we were able to fix that very quickly.
Very good.
But she could have lost everything, over trying to not be a burden. It's manipulation. And to me, it feels like almost an act of violence. And I know that sounds crazy, but when it's elderly like that, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's beyond wrong, and it's sick. So protect your family. Talk to your parents. Talk to your grandparents and tell them how much they're loved, and no matter what, you've got them.
Yeah.
And only talk to you. All right, we're going to go to Florida. And Jim, I'm taking this one personal because it almost happened to me yesterday.
All right.
All right. A Putnam County Sheriff's Office in Florida shared on Facebook on Monday, October 20th, that minor Catledge, 61 years old, had been arrested and charged after allegedly threatening his neighbor with 2 pocket knives. The incident began on Friday, October 17th, when the neighbor walked her dog on a public path adjacent to Catledge's property in Putnam County, a suburb located about 72 miles south of Jacksonville. The neighbor told police that Catledge believed that the path belonged to him and claimed that he told her he would, quote, eat her dog if she trespassed again. First of all, and I'm going to interrupt.
What a threat.
Well, let me tell you something.
Eat your dog.
I'm going to tell you something. I'll whip that ass too. Look, I'm stopping this story real quick because I have to tell you. I was taking my precious pup to the vet yesterday, Jim. You know how I ride for that weenie dog. Toby Jennings is the man. I was holding my buddy. We were pumping up some Cardi B because he was nervous, and I was trying to get him in the right mindset. A stranger, walked up to my window while we are stopped, puts his hands up like he's got a gun, and starts fake shooting my dog with his air gun.
Yes, we all saw on your Facebook.
Well, you listen to me. That weenie dog is my heart.
Why you stop the middle of the story to say that?
Because this person threatened to eat her dog.
Everybody's waiting to find out about this dog.
Well, Toby's okay. I need everyone to know. All right. So police said deputies spoke to Catledge about the property and the situation appeared to have been resolved. However, an hour later, the neighbor called the police again asking for help. The victim called a little over an hour later after Catledge approached her property with a knife and began threatening her and other family members. A police officer arrived before deputies and stated that he heard Catledge making threats to the victim. And the victim said Catledge threatened to stab her for calling law enforcement. As a result of the incident, Catledge was detained, charged with aggravated assault, and held on a $5,000 bond. In their social media post, police said that on his way to Putnam County Jail, Catledge said that he planned to, quote, beat the neighbor when he got out of jail. Police shared a mugshot of Catledge alongside the post in which he could be seen in a gray shirt and appeared to be, we'll say, disheveled.
I would say that.
Catledge remains in jail as the police continue their investigation into the situation. And
he looks like somebody to eat your dog.
I would have believed him. Yeah. He's got that what is that? Is that a Fu Manchu? The mustache that goes from the bottom of the chin, like the jawline, all the way around.
That's not a Fu Manchu, though.
What is that?
Because he doesn't have the beard part. A Fu Manchu is like what I have, except for longer.
Oh, my bad. I don't know. I'm talking about facial hair.
He's basically got a long mustache, y'all.
Yeah, like
we'll put it on Facebook.
Yeah, and he looks mad.
And he lost his hairbrush.
He did. He needs to watch VeggieTales.
That's how Kelly wakes up in the morning.
Where is my hairbrush? You butthole. Yeah, go check that out. And don't eat your neighbor's dogs. Damn.
Yeah, that's a good example of how a situation that didn't have to happen happened.
Right.
Was he really going to eat the lady's dog? Probably not.
He was just
He's just saying something to piss her off. But looking at him, you think, he might eat my dog. So we'll post that on the Facebook page for you. Now, the next story, we're going to take you to Virginia for this one.
We don't go there often.
We don't go to Virginia often, but we're going to start going there more often.
Let's go.
And we're definitely going today. And look, if you have been on social media, in the last week or so, you have definitely seen this somewhere. But I'm going to go ahead and give you the full story. It may be Halloween season, but a Virginia family says one trick has gone too far, and authorities have now opened a criminal investigation. Virginia resident Shyla says that she and her family were terrorized Tuesday night, this past Tuesday, by a group of people in costume who tried to enter her home. Quote, at first I thought it was just a joke, a little prank. So I said, Happy Halloween. She's on a Ring camera. According to Shyla, she thought the group would leave, but they didn't. She called 911 and told police and told them that the police were on the way through the Ring camera. However, the trio, they didn't seem fazed by that. They kept knocking on the door. Then they started banging on the door. They started threatening to kill them. And when they couldn't get through the front door, she said they went around the back of the home and they even damaged some glass and a wooden fence in the back of her house. The Virginia resident said the trio finally left about 10 minutes later and the police arrived at her home. It was not even a joke gone wrong. They tried to enter my home. My heart dropped. She went into some tough times that she's had lately with her dad recently dying, and she was there by herself with her kids. And the Alexandria police chief came out, Tariq McGuire, and he said the department is taking it very serious. They're actively searching for the group, and they analyzed video footage not only from her home but from neighbors' homes and said the suspects could face charges including burglary and making criminal threats. But let me set this up for you real quick. If you haven't seen the video, it's basically three people. They're standing at the front door, and they're all... One of them's in like a clown costume.
Scary clown, too.
Scary
not
clown.
Funny.
One of them's in like a witch costume, scary witch costume. And I don't even know what the third costume
It's almost
was,
like an old man
scary.
or something. I'd have to look. It was scary.
Very creepy. Now, here's my thoughts on this. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts because we're going to post the video on the Facebook page. But my thoughts on this are... It was probably somewhat of a joke. I don't think they were really trying to get in there because, they could have kicked the door open or something. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were necessarily trying to get in there to kill them. But the problem is you come knock on my house like that.
Yeah.
You will not make it. So I don't know if they knew whose door they were knocking on. Maybe they knew it was just a single mother who probably didn't have weapons. But, man, that's not funny.
No, okay, so here it is, too. It says one is a clown, one is the Michael Myers, and then one is that nun that it's kind of a scary looking. So very creepy. This is the thing. Perception, and I think so many people lack this. I taught this a lot in class. Perception is everything. So if everyone's not in on the joke, it's not funny. Okay? And so this wasn't funny. This was scary as hell. It felt like a scene out of The Purge. And so if I'm a mother at home alone, I've got my children in there, and I've got three people banging on my door and breaking glass. My perception is you're coming in. And this is those situations where people shoot, And so if these were kids that thought this was just going to be a funny but / evil prank, you better talk to your kids too. about what's considered funny and what's not, because this is not, and I'm not being a prude, this is just not funny when you watch it. She tried to be jovial, happy Halloween, ha ha ha, and then they just stand there creepy and they start. I would not have taken this well, and then to go around to the backside of their house, you're in a privacy, a reasonable expectation of privacy at that point, and they have violated that.
I agree.
So this is scary. If you haven't seen it, we're going to post it, right?
Yeah.
All right. We'll post it for y'all. You can go look at our Facebook, Crime Wire Weekly, and check that out. We always update. All right. Now we're going to roll on into Pennsylvania, where a man is facing serious criminal charges after he allegedly fatally shot a man who was having sex with his mother in a truck outside of their home. Now, the way this is written, you're wondering who's having sex with whose mom.
Right.
But punctuation matters, guys. But on Saturday, October...
Good point.
I'm telling you. Hey, everyone. Crime Wire Weekly has moved to its own new channel.
We hope you've enjoyed this preview. To continue listening, please follow the link referenced in the description of this podcast.
Or simply search Crime Wire Weekly wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to follow the show so you can be alerted when new episodes drop.
Thanks for listening.